In this update, I'm addressing some of the major issues that this Subaru has. I'm working on the suspension, brakes, and a mystery oil leak. Last episode, I left off with getting this thing to drive for the first time, and it wasn't really driving great. There's a lot of clunks and sounds, so I decided to just address these issues before taking it out anymore. And during that process, I found a smoke and oil leak somewhere near the turbo. So what I did already is replaced all the bushings, ball joints, and sway bar links on the front end. Now, the reason I did that was when I was driving, there's a lot of clunking and misalignment when steering. I started off with just doing the ball joints because I thought those were bad. And then the moment I took the wheel off and raised it up, I found that the bushings on the control arm on the inside were just shot. So I went ahead and ordered some polyurethane bushings. They were actually cheaper and easier and quicker to get. I'm not preferring them because of their hardness, but they should last longer, especially in the St. Louis city streets. In that whole process, also found the two boots, the axle boot and the tie rod boot, and I replaced those as well. So the front end right now is just about all good to go. Just gonna throw the wheels back on and do the rear brakes so I can take this thing out again and test out to find out where that oil leak is coming from. And from there, I think everything should be good, hopefully, so that I can start making this car better visually and performance-wise. Really worth recording, but I took all the tinting off all the windows and started to clean out the interior as much as possible. I also did, I don't think I mentioned it, no, I did the shift knob last time, so there's been just little things here and there, like painting the windshield wipers because they were all rusty, so I cleaned those up nice and good, and I made new battery tie down clamps, painted and cleaned this. So I'm just taking things one piece at a time and addressing these, you know, pieces that are unplugged, broken, rusty, missing, whatever it is. I'm trying to take care of all of them just as best as I can. So, oh, by the way, might as well show you what I did. Threw the bushings in there. You can't really see the one up in there, but it's in there. And then ball joint at the bottom and the axle boot all the way back there. Nice and clean. Did that on both sides, so it's good. And new brakes. It smells like it's running rich.
A little bit.
Wonder why.
It all says it's great.
Yeah? That might have been the e-brake that just popped. I hope that was the e-brake and not something else. I have to roll these up. It's a little cold out today.
Yeah, it is. Oh.
Is yours not working?
No.
Oh. Let's see, did I have the lock on? Try it now. Rip. Oh! Here's it. Mine does it.
Oh.
Yeah, you're not allowed to control it, dude.
It's alright.
I don't like that sound.
Sounds like something rattling in
So far, no clunks. That's awesome. Sounds like... E-brake doesn't really work that
here. I
well.
think this is just stuff rattling around inside.
It might be like a... I don't know. That doesn't sound amazing. Is it like rubbing plastic or something?
New brake setting in?
Maybe. I mean, it sounds a little bit extreme for that. I hope that diff isn't destroyed.
Gotta check the fluid?
No. I haven't checked anything. And the alignment's off, but
I love the smell of oil.
that burning oil. Yeah, I'm gonna bring it back so we can check on it. But it's kind of drivable now. Still needs something. It's, I don't know, it's like slightly misfiring a little bit. Oh yeah, it's definitely misfiring. Alright, so check this out. It's idling a little low, and it sounds lopey and rich. But when I smash the brake pedal a whole bunch, it starts to die. And misfire. So, oh, brake. Oh, that's from the e-brake. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna turn this off and smoke test it and see if we find any vacuum leaks on this thing. Waiting for it to cool down. Toby's like, is that intercooler even bolted down? So, as I wiggle it, check this out. There's a whole lot of air leaks there. Right off the bat, let's just bolt everything down and tighten it up and see how it runs. It's a good old rubber glove trick to keep the smoke in. But so far, I only found one. Oh, there's a leak. That is the blow-off valve, or bypass valve. Might need to be tightened down a little bit. Oh. All right, so I'm in a little bit of a guessing game now with this car and the engine. It's running rich. The air fuel sensor wideband is reading that it's running rich, which would normally tell the engine to cut fuel. But the fuel trims are excessively high. Short term is 20%, long term is like 10%. So I haven't had it running long, but it would probably end up being long term 20%. It's supposed to be 0% basically. And I think 25% might be the highest. So it's definitely dumping fuel in there. Looking at the Subaru factory service manual, there's not any straightforward diagnosis for it because there's no check engine light codes. So I went ahead and skimmed through them and found system 2 rich code. I think it's P0172. And the diagnosis procedure for that ends up with checking all the systems, and then the last thing is checking manifold absolute pressure through the OBD2 scan. So mine is reading at idle about 7.6 psi, and the maximum allowed is about 5.9 psi at idle. So what Subaru says to do is replace the map sensor. So I ordered a new map sensor, and it should be here soon, and hopefully that ends up fixing the issue. See, because if the map sensor is reading too high of a pressure or not enough vacuum, then it's going to tell the engine to add more fuel because there's more air. That's hopefully gonna fix it. So we're gonna find out here soon. One thing that the FSM did not mention is there could be a vacuum leak. So it's weird that they skipped over this, but it should be checked. You put the vacuum gauge up and you read its vacuum. It was reading like, I think 21 inches of mercury, which is very good and very steady. And then I did the leak down test with the smoke tester and fixed the 2 tiny little leaks it had, and there's absolutely no other leaks on here. So I'm certain that it's a sealed system. It should be having at least 5.9 inches or psi at idle, and it doesn't. So the map sensor should hopefully fix this issue. That last clip I just recorded was about a week ago, and I've been through a lot trying to figure out what to do to get this running right. I ended up replacing that map sensor sitting right here, and it did give better results, but the car didn't respond how I wanted it to respond. So just through a lot of research online, I finally stumbled upon someone that mentioned one thing, which ended up being pretty dang simple. So it's always the simple things that end up making things not work right on cars, usually. And what it was, let me show you. Down here is the exhaust gas temperature sensor. You can't even see it, but it's on the up pipe. So I didn't have that plugged in because I couldn't find the plug for it, and I didn't think it was that necessary. Usually EGT sensors are used for slightly changing the fuel trim just for emissions purposes to help with the catalytic converters. This one, however, for some reason, if you have it unplugged, it just fail-safe mode into maximum rich fuel trims. And there's no information on that on the FSM or really anywhere besides one dude on some random forum in the middle of nowhere like 10 years ago. So shout out to that guy. I was like, oh, let me just go ahead and plug it in. I finally found the plug for it. It's hiding underneath the 202 sensors down here, just far down underneath. Plugged that in, and it stopped commanding 25% fuel trim. So now it's running way less rich. I took it out once. Here's a clip of it. Now I'm waiting on the actual original OEM Denso wideband O2 sensor. I bought an aftermarket one initially, which does kind of work, but it's not running super perfect. So in a couple days I'll have the wideband that's supposed to be for the car, put it in the proper spot, and then relearn for the ECU. There's some weird process for that. But I'm happy now because the car is running the way it should mostly, and I can start getting things set up right. One thing I did not mention, however, in this whole process of trying to figure out the problem with the car, I went ahead and bought a Tactrix cable so I could read and write the ECU. I pulled the current read on the ECU and compared it to a factory OEM one, and it was all the same, except it did have a modified TGV CEL delete, which is the tumble generator valves I had an issue with originally, where the sensor was bad on it, and I replaced it. It wasn't throwing codes because somebody had gone into the ECU and forced it to not be able to throw that code. So I went ahead and re-enabled that, and then I put a stage 2 tune on it because I was worried that the exhaust system I had on here would not work with a OEM tune. So now I have stage 2 tune. Got to get the wideband installed on it, and it should be running pretty good in the next episode. And I can start making this thing finally look not like a piece of crap. So coming up here, next episode, I'll be fixing up like the wiring, the body, planning out the wrap for it, and I do have to figure out the rear end because there's a whining and a clunking sound. So I got it up on the lift here. I'm going to take a peek at it. There's probably not diff fluid or it's filled with water. I'll see. But I'm going to be doing an entire series on repairing this car from like basically the ground up and also modifying it and making it a lot cooler. So if you're interested in that, be sure to follow and subscribe us. Also, it helps us a lot with our channel. It lets us continue to do projects like this with your support. So thank you for that. Be sure to check out the other videos that I'm doing on this. Thanks.